Now you can enjoy the happiness of the holidays for the next 6 months by paying less and making more money by getting 180 days of picks from your favorite handicapper at a huge discount. This limited time Christmas special gives you a 90-day all-access pass with a handicapper of your choice at WagerTalk.com, plus an additional 90 days of all-access passes at no additional cost, an $849 value. This comes out to just under $5 per day, includes all sports released and any 5% best bets, normally priced at $35 each. Your access with your handicapper will cover NFL through the Super Bowl, college football through the national championship, any NBA and NHL action, including playoff games played during access and the start of the MLB season. Plus, if your handicapper does UFC, soccer, tennis, or any sport, yep, it's included. Happy holidays from everyone at WagerTalk.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. That handsome, old, decrepit man is Teddy Covers. And we have a show full of handsome, old, decrepit men. It starts with me. It goes to Teddy. It moves to Dave Cokin. It ends with Ralph Michaels. Anyway, Teddy, Dave Cokin up first. He's going to talk St. John's versus Butler. And then 2 college football bowl bets. UCF, Florida, Memphis, and Hawaii. Ralph Michaels, well, he's got a chart. He promised a chart. And then he's going to talk Tampa Bay, Carolina, and the NFL, the Chargers and Houston, and the Dabo Sweeney-led Clemson Tigers versus Iowa State. My brother, what did you learn in the wonderful world of sports last night?
Yeah, it feels like lately in the What Did We Learn segments, we've been talking about personal stuff. We're talking about industry news. Let's talk about something sports and what we learned last night. And I know the Atlanta Hawks have COVID right now. But this team, if you remember, was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, tied 2-2 with the Milwaukee Bucks, who went on to win the title.
Yep.
And Atlanta returned basically everyone. They came into the season basically healthy. This team's now 14-16. They're 3-7 their last 10. They're 0-7 in their last 7 home games, and they're losing games at home to a bottom feeder Magic team playing without most of their normal roster. I know this is an old quote, and I know Trae Young was out and is out with COVID issues, but this quote continues to ring true. Quote from Young earlier in the season: "It's the regular season. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot more boring than the playoffs. You got to find that motivation to play like it is the playoffs right now." Atlanta has none of that motivation. A bet against team in NBA action in every sense of the word. That's what I learned last night, Prez. What about you?
Well, I'm going off topic, Teddy. What else is new? Manishtana, as they say. Nobody says that. I took my youngest, she's 18. I took her to see the Spider-Man movie last night. Me and her have seen every single Marvel movie together. It's been a real joy because every time one comes out, she, "Daddy, are we going?" And I love it. So we're at the movie cinema and the movie ends. Now, for Marvel fans, that's not the actual end. Like when the movie ends, then they have some credits, then they have a clip, then they have more credits, and then they have a very important, usually scene at the very end, after all the credits that set up the next movie, if you will. 80% of the cinema left right when the movie ended. I embarrassed the crap out of my kid. I literally stood up and I said, "Have you people never seen a Marvel movie? I mean, we are on Marvel movie like 25. And people are still leaving the cinemas before the end clips. Morons, I tell you." Anyway,
Well,
that's it.
I got to ask, was the end clip worth sticking around for?
Yes.
There it is.
Set up the Doctor Strange. He's up next with the multiverse. And the Spider-Man movie was good, man. It was a fun movie. Came home, watched the last 2 episodes of Hawkeye, I marveled all night, dude. Like, I marveled at Marvel. It was just, I was up till 3 a.m. marveling. Yeah, I got issues. I admit it. Help me.
Dave Cokin will help us. That's what he's here for.
Well, I know Dave is a big-time Marvel. Dave, you're a big-time Marvel fanatic, which I'm a Batman guy. He's DC, but that's who's been my favorite. Dave, regale us with your favorite Marvel character.
I've never seen one of their movies. I was never a comic book fan as a kid. I have no knowledge of any of that stuff. Sorry.
And Dave, we all knew that before I asked the question.
Yes, I know you did.
Yeah. When I was really, really young, I only read one comic, Richie Rich. I was like a big-time Richie Rich guy.
I read one.
Of course you were.
There was a Gunsmoke comic book when I was a kid.
Gunsmoke. I remember that TV show.
From the TV
What do you
show.
mean? Of course I was, Teddy.
Richie Rich is right up your alley, dude. That's exactly the comic that I would expect you to have read incessantly as a child.
And by the
yeah.
way,
Yeah.
Marshall Matt Dillon could kick the crap out of any of your Marvel superheroes.
Who the hell is
He
Marshall
should.
Matt Dillon?
Gunsmoke.
Oh, yeah. Gunsmoke can kill Superman for sure.
Oh,
No
no question
doubt.
about it. No question.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Dillon was indestructible.
Absolutely.
And he had Festus as a sidekick after Chester left the show.
Teddy, I don't know what the hell Dave's talking about, but I'm going to agree with him.
Yes.
I remember a show called Gunsmoke. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about it.
No,
Me neither.
Okay, Coke.
no, I'm
Coke,
sure
and
most people have no idea what it's about, and I thought it was a great show, and we'll still watch the reruns.
Okay, there you go. Dave Cokin, guys, spending Christmas Eve tomorrow night or whenever it is watching the Gunsmoke reruns.
No, that's not
Dave.
going to happen either.
I know, dude. I'm just starting with you. Dude, St. John's -6 versus Butler. How do we bet this game?
Yeah, I kind of lean St. John's here that Butler doesn't do the things well that St. John's doesn't do well. St. John's has a really bad defense against three-point shooting. They allow loads of open threes, but Butler doesn't really shoot the three ball very well. This is going to come down to tempo, and that's what got me out of playing the game because I made my number higher than the line. I think St. John's is considerably better than Butler, but we just saw St. John's have a lot of trouble in a game where they were not able to force their tempo against Pittsburgh. And I'm worried that the same thing will happen here against Butler. Butler is pretty good at controlling tempo, and they're going to try and slow this game to a crawl. So I kind of like St. John's, but that number is keeping me away from it, considering the style of game that I think we're going to get. The one thing I don't like about St. John's is I guess they can get out schemed by opponents. This goes to the coaching. He can get out coached, and that might be the case tonight.
So my thought process on Baylor, Dave, is a real simple one. I want to bet against this team every chance I get. I see them right now. They are 2-7 ATS for the season, and to me, this is way down from where they've been. Now they are 8-1 to the under. Does it make sense to fade Butler and continue to play unders with the Bulldogs right now? On a consistent basis, or do you think the markets are starting to catch up with this team's inferior play?
I don't know. I don't want to play overs. I mean, if you think the game's going over, you bet the opposite side, because if they get into a situation where they've got to go up and down the court, they've got no shot. But again, if I hadn't seen the Pittsburgh game, I'd probably be all over St. John's tonight. But I did, and Pittsburgh's also an inferior team, and they were able to control the tempo in that game. And if Butler's able to, Butler's certainly going to look at that game film and try and do the same thing. Whether they'll be able to accomplish it, I'm not so sure. That's why I lean St. John's, but I am not going to press the submit button on a wager. I did bet a couple of football games, though. I bet the 49ers-Titans game, and I have a bet on the Central Florida game we're going to talk about.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, that's up next. And Dave, you've got to play in the NFL Up for clients tonight?
Yes.
Excellent stuff.
Well, we'll find out if
Dave
it's excellent
Cokin,
after the game's over.
Well, I'll go look because I'm in play on that game as well. So I'm going to go look while we're talking and see how excellent I think it is. But I won't say a word. Teddy, Dave, real quick, Kip Curran, one of our listeners, guys, if you ask great questions in the chat, I will try to respond to them. Kip says, Prez, can you explain or give some tips on basics of handicapping totals? I can't because I need that question to be slightly more specific. When Dave goes, Teddy, I'm happy to address that. It's a great question. I need a little bit more specific than that because I bet a lot of totals. By the way, thanks for asking that question. I'm on a 12-1 totals run. Dave, UCF. They're playing Florida today. The line has moved. It was 7. There are 7 still out there, but we do see 6.5s as well. We have a total of 55.5. This game is 7 p.m. How do we make money on it?
Well, hopefully by taking the points. Look, a good Florida beats Central Florida basically every time they play them because they've got better athletes. But good Florida hasn't been visible for a long time. I mean, this was a team that they went into the season with hopes of being in the playoffs. And they started off well, had a game against Kentucky, against Alabama that they should have won. They should have beaten Alabama. Lost the game by 2, and they outplayed Alabama in that game. Came back the next week, beat Tennessee. Wasn't a bad loss against Kentucky, beat Vanderbilt. Wasn't a terrible loss against LSU. And then came the Georgia game. And they got killed on the scoreboard, 34-7. The stats were misleading in the game. Completely phony stats. But that was the end of the season. They go out the next week and get destroyed by a bad South Carolina team. Gave up 52 points to Samford. Lose to Missouri, which can't play. And they managed to get a 3-point win in the rivalry game with Florida State. I wasn't impressed with either team in that game. So I don't know why they're suddenly going to show up. It's been a really confusing couple of weeks down there reading the quotes. They've got 2 coaching staffs, basically. The one that's in play right now, that's leaving, and the one that's coming in. And the players have been meeting with Napier's staff. To me, it sounds like I just don't know where the focus is going to be. And the weirdest thing of all is Emory Jones is back at quarterback for this game, even though he's in the transfer portal. This is his last game there. They've already recruited a kid from Ohio State who's transferring in. They've got Richardson, who'll be on hand next year. He's hurt. It's just a really weird situation on the Florida side. Now, Central Florida wants the game. It's big for them on every level. It's a chance to beat up Big Brother, which would be huge for them. It's a really big recruiting game because they're leaving one of the non-Power 5 conferences to join a Power 5 conference. So, you've got to get on the same recruiting page with Florida. To me, the better team doesn't win this game. I think Central Florida has a really good chance to win the game. I took the points. I also played 1% on the money line at plus 225, and I feel pretty good about the play.
So I want to ask you, Dave, I understand there's a lot of reasons to bet against Florida, but is UCF good enough? Because when this team tried to step up in class, particularly defensively, they really struggled. They got bombed by SMU. They gave up 55 in that game. They gave up 56 to Cincy.
Let me answer your question, Teddy. I'll answer it real quickly. The question is, Central Florida good enough? Well, South Carolina was good enough, and they're better, and they're not as good as Central Florida. Samford was good enough to give them a game, 75-52. And Samford certainly isn't as good as Central Florida. Missouri beat Florida. And Missouri's certainly not as good as Central Florida. And Florida State probably isn't as good as Central Florida, and they almost beat Florida. The Florida Gators in the second half of the season have sucked. Okay, so can they win tonight? Yeah, I mean, if they put all the pieces together, again, they've got great athletes, but I don't see anything on their form sheet that indicates they're going to do that.
Dave Cokin. Dave, let's move on to the final game. Memphis at Hawaii. Teddy jumped on. He was curious why this line keeps dropping on the total. Sidewise -8.5. How do we bet this game?
Well, I don't think Memphis is a real good offensive team, and Hawaii's got like 80,000 people out for the game. I think it's 19 players actually are out. You got guys who've transferred. The coach is in damage control mode. Now, the one positive for Hawaii is that 2 weeks ago, I was absolutely going to play Memphis in this game. I'm not as sure now because it seems as though Graham, I actually did not expect him to take this route. Graham being Graham, I thought he would be very obstinate and say, oh, it's my way or the highway. And in light of all the complaints from particularly the younger players in the program about the turmoil that's been taking place and about the way they've been treated by the coach, he's said, well, we're going to make some changes. And they're putting together committees where players are going to have more input. So I'm not sure how to read Hawaii now. Maybe it's not as negative as it seemed to be a couple of weeks ago. That said, they're still missing a lot of players in this team. And I don't know that they can beat Memphis. It's probably going to keep me out of the game because I'm a little uncertain. What I might do here is wait to see what the approach is for Hawaii coming out of the gate. Might be able to get a read in the first quarter about whether they want to play this game or not and make some kind of a bet at that point.
Teddy.
Lawrence.
Teddy.
After his third one, you usually go. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this.
No, that is not how it works. You just make this shit up. Do you have a follow-up question for Dave or not?
I was just saying I'm going to break this game down in my big game breakdown after the
they
break.
got it.
Lawrence.
Okay.
Right. So
Dave Cokin, everyone. Dave, what do you got? What do you got to promote?
Oh, well, thank you for asking, because that's what I was going to jump in with. I have my 5%. I have a 5% bowl play up, and I put it up on Monday for $9, and we decided to keep it at $9. So that hopefully will work out well. I've got a 4% play on another bowl game that I'm keeping just for all access players. I'm not going to sell it, so that's a reason to get an all access pass. Hockey when it returns. Hockey's been good. Basketball, not going to be much over the holidays, but we'll get rolling again after that. And college and NFL.
Excellent stuff. Dave, have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. Be well. Kick ass. Enjoy Gunsmoke. And we'll see you next Thursday. Teddy, get ready, man. Your big game breakdown is coming. Ralph Michaels, daily presidential address. And we will delve into that totals question. We'll be right back.
When WagerTalk acquired the iconic Gold Sheet, the goal was to turn it into a modern, user-friendly product providing high-quality content and data. We're well on our way to achieving just that, and we want to show you how far it's come. From Friday, December 24th through Sunday, January 2nd, enjoy free access to the Gold Sheet. Just head to goldsheet.com and sign in using username free@goldsheet.com and use password free to get access to our NFL, college football, NBA, and college basketball content for the entire week. No credit card, email, or registration is required. Check it out. And if you enjoyed the new and improved Gold Sheet like we know you will, lock in savings now and grab our 2022 football Gold Sheet for just $99. That's right, until January 1st, 2022, we're taking $100 off the regular price of $199. From all of us here at WagerTalk Sports Memo and the Gold Sheet, we wish you a wonderful holiday season and a prosperous new year.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk some Hawaii Bowl for Christmas Eve. Looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen right now, I'm seeing Memphis an 8.5 point favorite in Honolulu. Total sitting at 55. There are some 55 and a halves out there, and a 56 literally just popped up as I was looking at the screen. So it looks like this total may be on the way up after it's been bet down from the opener of 60 and a half, 61. And it's been bet down from the opener because we've had a lot of players missing. Calvin Austin, Memphis's number one weapon, their top playmaker on the outside. He's preparing for the NFL. Hawaii's quarterback, Cordero's gone. Their leading rusher, Dede Hunter's gone. They all entered the transfer portal. That being said, and Hawaii's QB for the game is going to be the Frosh, Braden Shager, I should say. And ironically, he matched up against Memphis's quarterback, Seth Hennigan, last year in the Class 5 Division 1, Region 2 final in Texas. So these two teams playing for a high school state championship last year. Now they're playing in a bowl game this year. Interesting matchup. Look, Hawaii doesn't have a whole lot of defense. All right. Ranked 111th in total defense, 126th in passing defense, 120th in third down defense. What they did do is force turnovers in bunches. All right. 27 for the season. That's what that defense is about. They're going to give up yards, but they're going to make plays. When you look at the Hawaii side, certainly Shager was not a great QB coming in late in the season. His quote is a real positive one, though. Quote, when I had to come in and start those 3 games, my team really rallied around me. I think they're doing the same thing now. They believe in me just as much as I believe in me. We have good team chemistry right now. Everyone's strong chemistry-wise, so we're going to be ready to go. Just seeing the coaches and players have confidence in me, that gives me confidence in myself. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Hawaii gives them a game. Memphis, a grand total of 1 win on the road all year, and they didn't cover in that game. Their top weapon is out. I look at Hawaii plus, and I wouldn't argue with an over recommendation for this ball game either. I know the money's coming the under so far, but we're not talking about 2 elite defenses. We are talking about 2 offenses that are capable of putting together some big plays. Lean dog, lean over on Christmas Eve. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy, I did last night in the middle of all my marvelness. I did have the Missouri Army game on. Great ending at the end there. Really fun game. Listen, I get it. If you own Missouri, how do you cheer against Army? Like, surely Americans would think to themselves, the Army represents them, and Missouri was just a school you went to. How could anybody ever cheer against the American Army?
This whole cheering thing doesn't work for me.
Oh, yeah, okay, fine. You're right. We're not allowed to be
I'm not the
fans.
right guy to ask cheer questions. I could care less.
Anyway, I was just thinking that, like, watching last night, like, as Missouri was driving the ball to go up, then they screwed up that 2-pointer. But I'm thinking that people are, like, cheering for Missouri, and I'm thinking, you're cheering against the American Army. This just can't be a thing. Ralph Michaels joining us. And Ralph, I want to bring you in early because I do want to delve quickly into the question in the chat room, and that is any tips on betting totals. He did make it a bit more specific, NBA or NFL. Ralph, welcome to the show. Do you have any tips for our listeners in figuring out how to bet totals?
No.
Caught you totally off guard.
It's yeah, again, there's so many unique situations. There's no general rule. Like in sports betting, there's no general rule that says this works or this works. You're looking at offensive performances, defensive performance, matchup performances, pace of play. So no, there's nothing I can share that says this is how to bet totals. It's like you're betting a side. There's a combination of things. It's your job as a handicapper or bettor to mix and match those things that give you an advantage, and you move forward from there, hopefully finding the right buying value at the right time.
And thank you so much for asking me, Prez, because I love the way you brought it up before, gave no answer, dismissed the topic, and went right back.
This is why you want to talk.
Cokin. But, yeah, I had an answer the first time, but you didn't give me an answer.
I was going to get to you next.
The answer is real simple. All right, there's one stat to pay. That's the base for all totals. And that base is pace of play. All right, you can look at the NBA. in terms of pace of play. Hollinger's pace numbers are a good basis for that. College hoops, Ken Palm's pace numbers are going to be the basis for the totals in college football or NFL. Pace ratings, the amount of time you take between plays. 17 seconds between snaps, or you 29 seconds between snaps. That makes all the difference, and that is the biggest factor in where totals are set. So if you're talking about how to beat totals, start with pace and move from there. That's my 2 cents, Prez. Back to you.
No, and that's a great point. And I mean, I bet a ton of football totals, especially in the NFL. And I'm looking at two things, at least to start my handicap. The first is exactly what you said. Are they running the shot clock down to 1 before they snap the ball? The second thing is the length of play, because when you have teams that can stretch the field, they will play slow, but they might eat up yards fast. You know, you look at a team like New England Patriots, these guys are not throwing 50-yard bombs. So I want to know how long it takes to get a first down, how long it takes to get from the 20 to the 20. You know, these 9-minute drives, they might end up in a touchdown, but they also took 9 minutes off the clock. So those are the two things that I'm looking at predominantly. I study drive charts and pace of play. So I am with you, Teddy. And I think pace of play is more relevant in the NBA or in hoops than it is in the NFL, because there is no long bomb in hoops. You can't make up for the pace of play in hoops. Teddy?
And this is, and it's definitely worth noting that the games with the more points, like football and basketball, pace is your key factor. In the games with fewer points, hockey, MLB, soccer, pace is not the factor to consider. Right. But that's a whole nother discussion.
Guys, welcome welcome everyone to the show. It's going so good. I've annoyed Teddy twice. That makes me so happy. Ralph Michaels, dude, you are absolutely freaking rolling. Every morning I wake up, every morning I check the front page of WagerTalk, every morning I see Ralph Michaels right there leading the way. Tell us, what the hell, man? Like, what, 19-4, 18-4? What? Your run is incredible.
I did have a 1-2 day yesterday, so you know, those days are going to happen. Current run 19-4, 83%. The run for the last 3.5 weeks 56-28, 67%. Wow. So very happy. Bowl games off to 5-1 start. College hoops going great. I do want to mention things. Right before I came on, you saw Ruby doing a Gold Sheet commercial talking about having free access to the Gold Sheet college football, NFL, college basketball, and NBA Gold Sheet newsletters, the CKO, and the Gold Sheet Extra starting tomorrow. Guess what? We made it active today. So you can go to the Gold Sheet right now. Go to goldsheet.com, username, type in free at goldsheet.com, and password free. And you can access the Gold Sheet starting today all the way through December 31st. And Teddy, I do have to mention one thing. You talked about those Texas high school quarterbacks playing in a bowl game. How's this for irony? I went back to look while we were on break. Those kids they played before 47,000 players, 47,000 fans in that game. They're going to be playing in front of 8,000 today. So those high school kids played in front of a 50,000 crowd.
Sure, that's Texas high school football.
Guys, if you like Ralph, if you like Dave, Teddy, if you want to hear the daily presidential address, we need 21 more likes. And also, Ralph, man, we are like 500 subscribers, give or take, away from 90,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Unbelievable. Guys, let's get there by New Year's. We need another 500-600 people to subscribe to our channel. If you haven't, please do so. Ralph, that Gold Sheet username, not the easiest to remember. Can you just give it out again real quick?
Well, Prez, I know you're from Canada, but it's free at goldsheet.com and free.
Okay.
I don't know how much easier it can be, but it's
Well, why couldn't it just be free and free? Why does it have to be free?
because the
at
first one has to have
goldsheet.com?
an email username on it because that's the way it's programmed. So
Okay.
unfortunately, the programming makes it have a email. So free at goldsheet.com and free, again, complete access, everything on that site through December 31st.
Yeah, and guys, I'll tell you flat out, it's just a must read. I mean, the Gold Sheet is the oldest sports betting content provider, I think, probably ever. 1954, give or take. And we own it now. Not one of us, except maybe Dave Cokin, was alive in 1954. Ralph, you definitely weren't. Teddy,
Nope.
I think you were 56, right?
Incorrect. That said, it's worth noting with these free offers because people are always suspicious.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to buy. There's no bait and switch.
We never call
We
you.
have a good product. We want to get it to as many people as possible. Hopefully they'll subscribe when it's all done. So, there's no
Teddy, let me
nonsense
just jump
with
in
the
there
free.
too.
Yeah.
You know, when we talked about putting this offer up, you don't need to register an email. You don't even need to register a site. There's no credit card needed. You just randomly go in as anyone and just check it out. So when we talk about free, it is absolutely 100% guaranteed free. With no recourse unless you want it. So a great product. Hey, can we talk some football, guys, before we run out of time?
Please.
Well, put
All
your
right.
chart up, brother.
I'm going to say this. Is how much more obvious can I be? A healthier NFL team is a better NFL team. So how do you quantify that? Well, you know me. I went to a chart and I quantified it. So we know with COVID, we know with situations, we've seen teams, when you're missing your first two quarterbacks, to me, that's either a play against or not play like the Browns and like Washington. But take a look. This chart is ranked. To the right-hand side, you see a rank and a player's number. It is ranked from the number of players that have played this year. Look at Buffalo. They have only had 61 players play. Look at Tennessee on the bottom of the chart who plays tonight. They have had 87 players play. Let's compare the Bills on defense. 28 players have played for Buffalo this year on defense. That means every first string player, that's 11. Every second string player, that's 22. And 6 other players have played. They've gotten 6 third string players play. Tennessee, every first string player, every second string player, every third string player, and almost every fourth string player has played a game for Tennessee. So do check those injury reports. I will post this, but I want to say this. Looking at the bottom 11, only 2 teams have a winning ATS record. That's the Detroit Lions because they were getting so many points and they started playing better, and the Tennessee Titans because they started so well. If you look at the top 17 healthiest teams, only 3 of them have a losing ATS record. As I always do, I will post this on Twitter right after the show so you can dissect it. So with this COVID situation, do take the time and start looking at these healthy teams down the stretch versus these teams that have been COVID ravaged.
Yeah, Ralph. I really want to, because unfortunately, from my screen angle, I can't see it real well on the screen. So one more reason to follow. And of all the Twitter follows, of all the guys we talk about following on Twitter, Ralph's the one guy you got to follow at CalSportsLV. That you have, literally, you have to follow him because his info that he tweets out every day is second to none. So I'm looking forward to really giving this chart a good peruse on Ralph's Twitter page just after the show. Prez?
There you go, Ralph. We got Tampa Bay, Carolina. We got the Chargers, Houston, Clemson, Iowa State. Let's start with the first, and I'm really curious because, one of the guys asked, when's the NFL presidential address going up? It should be up in the next few hours. I taped it yesterday. I delved deep into this LA Chargers game. Minus 1046. I like the Chargers. I see blowout. You going to talk me out of it or on it?
No, both of the two NFL games that I'm going to talk about are NFL systems that we have mentioned on this show previously. But both of them are such quality systems to me that if I like a side and the system backs me, it makes it strong enough to be in the mix as a selection. So what system is getting me on the LA Chargers this week? Well, it's the Houston team that won as a dog of 6 or more last week, and they're a dog of 6 or more this week. Bad teams that pull the upset rarely play very good games back to back. That record, going back all the way since 2010, 17 ATS wins, 47 ATS losses. That is a 73.4% fade. We talked about this just last week or on December 12th. Detroit was off an upset win. They go to Denver. They're a big dog again. What happens? The Broncos win that game 38-10. So fade that type of team. We have the Chargers that were off a horrible loss. If they had last year's coach, I might not be backing them. I do think they bounced back from that Chiefs loss. And looking at Houston, they're just 1-7 straight up in ATS after a straight up win themselves, not worrying about being a dog in this role. All of that points to me with the Chargers. But again, a strong system that has a 73% system for over 10 years, and to me makes total sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that concept at all. Do you worry at all about the Chargers defensively against Davis Mills, who's shown the ability to chuck the football around? Because LA has shown a tendency to play up or down to their level of competition, both this year.
Yeah, I mean, chucking the football around is one thing, Teddy, but you look at the last 5 games for the Houston Texans, and they have topped 280 yards one game. In that Seattle game, when they were way down, they passed for 3. They gained 380 yards. The previous 5 games, 281, 141, 202, 190, 272. The games that they get sacked more than one time, which the Chargers D-line is performing well, they really have struggled. So no, in this situation, I am not. One last thing I want to mention. When you look at double-digit away favorites in the NFL since 2015, in September, October, and November, double-digit favorites, away favorites, are 53%. In December, double-digit away favorites the last 6 years have hit 62.5%. A good team finishing the end of the year against a bad team. And why did they list Mills as their quarterback? Well, he's experimenting. Mills now is officially the number 1 quarterback for the rest of the year. David Culley made that call last week. And when you're in that experimental mode, I have no problems fading you.
Ralph Michaels, everyone. And guys, before we move on to the next game, listen, this show is about actionable info, great betting advice, strategy, etc. Michael O'Brien put up an incredible system on the Chargers game. I want to read to everyone in case you're not in the chat room. He writes, the system that has me on the Chargers, and this is big, write this down, is the Texans suck system. So good luck to that. I think that's an outstanding piece of handicapping. Ralph, Tampa Bay, Carolina, how you betting this game?
Thanks, Prez. You actually had my pen down on a piece of paper getting ready to write down that system. So appreciate that lead-in. Because like anything, you know what? When I hear something, I am going to double-check those facts. And I hope everyone does. When you hear numbers that I'm saying, please do check, because that's so important. Hearsay from a bar or things people hear and all of a sudden they get blown up. So all I can say is this: whatever fact it is, do double check it. I'm going to go under Tampa Bay, Carolina. This is another game we've talked about. Why? When you have a division away favorite of 8 or more, they have gone 10 overs, 34 unders. That's a 77.3% to the under. I played Dallas and the Giants under last week. It cashed. I will be on Tampa Bay under. Tampa Bay does not worry about blowing opponents on the road. They're 0-3 away against teams that are under 400. Carolina's offense the last 4 weeks, 276 yards per game. Yes, we're playing Darnold, and we're going to play other quarterbacks and Newton, and who knows what's going on. And, Tampa Bay's offense on the road, 386 yards is impressive, but we saw them last week. They don't worry about blowing out teams on the road, with the exception of the one game they did win by 21. So the Sid does it. It's a play I like as well. Tampa Bay, Carolina under the total, backed by a 77.3% system, playing the under when we have a division away favorite of 8 or more.
Here's my question on that. What's Tom Brady over under off a shutout loss?
I don't have that. And I'll tell you what, Teddy,
He's
he's only had one shutout loss.
Yeah,
I think
many.
so.
That was the point.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's been 256 games since his last shutout loss. And my guess, just doing quick math, is that was probably at the beginning of his career. So I don't know how many he would have had prior to that.
Look at Prez. Am I going to lose my Stat Daddy nickname with you pulling that out of your ass?
Hey, you want another stat? Anyway. Listen to this, Ralph. Listen to this stat. D, blah, 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 confirmed. He checked the numbers. He confirmed that the Texan suck system is accurate. So there you go. More great handicapping from the Prez. Dude, we got to get moving. Clemson, Iowa, Cheez-It Bowl. This one's next week, but you want to talk about it, and the microphone is yours.
Well, it's next Wednesday, so it plays before I'm on next time. This is a bowl game I released to my all-access customers. I came into the season 33-15 in bowls, 69% the last 4 years, 5-1 start this year, and this is a client release. This is one where you throw the statistical profiles out the window. Iowa's stat profile is huge. They're plus 100-something yards per game. But why? That's because they've lost 4 games as a favorite of 4.5, 7, 7.5, and 10.5. When you're allowing opponents to score and you're having to chase leads, you're going to get a lot of garbage yards. Yes, both teams are disappointing this year. But Iowa State, I think, more so than Clemson. Iowa State was a top 10 team that thought they could challenge to be a playoff team. And again, losing 4 games as a favorite. Clemson knew early with DJ at quarterback, they weren't going to be a championship team. What have they done? They've won 5 straight games. Dabo Swinney is the consummate motivator. I can clearly see him say, listen, guys, this is our first game towards next season, our national championship year. Clemson, no opt-outs, no transfers. Iowa State, all world running back, Breece Hall out. Iowa State, co-defensive player of the year, Young out. Starting cornerback King out. Linebacker Horn out. All in the transfer portal, not playing. And then this is my stat matchup for the year. Iowa State has had an awesome offensive line thanks to the running game of Breece Hall and not being able to load the box with the play action. But in 5 games, they've been sacked 2 or more times. That's it. So 7 games, they've had a completely clean pocket with 0 or 1 sack. In the 5 games that they got sacked 2 or more times, they lost by 10 as a 4.5-point favorite. They lost by 2 as a 7-point favorite. They didn't cover against Oklahoma State. They lost to West Virginia as a 7.5-point favorite. And the Oklahoma game. They're 0-5 ATS in games where they've been sacked 2 or more times. This Clemson D-line, powerful. 24 sacks the last 5 games. Clemson jumps them. Clemson wins the game big. And again, this was an actual all-client play. It's pick in Vegas. It's -1 offshores. I did play it at pick. And I'm going to say lay the 115 and take Clemson even in case it's closer than I think. But I don't think it will be. This is a motivational game. And most times when a team like Clemson, who had national championship aspirations, has a bubble burst, I don't want to play them. But this was an early bubble burst with a strong finish. Throw the stats out. Clemson Tigers win this game.
Here's my question for you, Ralph. Clemson, we talk a lot about the head coaching changes. The head coaching changes get the biggest headlines. But teams that change coordinators prior to the bowl game, there's certainly a feeling out process there. And Clemson is, the offense coordinator, now the Virginia head coach. The defensive coordinator, now the Oklahoma head coach. Do you worry about the coordinator changes for the Clemson Tigers messing them up for this bowl game?
Certainly it's a concern, and it has to be something as part of the handicap, Teddy. But listen, to me, it starts from the head man down. Dabo Swinney is the elite bowl coach when you look at his ATS record at 10-3. And there's a leadership formation that he's talked about. He has said, I have no concern because as I teach my coordinators teach the people under them to do their job. I think in this situation, they both step up. And yes, you have two of the highest paid coordinators, if not the two highest paid coordinators. But again, the tree that they teach from top to bottom there, I think can overcome the loss of these two guys.
Awesome stuff, Ralph. Outstanding, dude. Listen, have yourself an incredible Christmas. I hope you get to see your son. I hope you feel the love because we all give it to you all the time.
Thanks, guys.
You are one of the MVPs of the entire WagerTalk media company, and I personally, as one of the owners, can't thank you enough. Ralph Michaels, everyone, what a pleasure. Okay, boys, we got 135 likes. Let's go. All right. If you guys are watching this on Twitter, first, thank you. Second, make sure to watch WagerTalk Today, one of the best the best sports gambling daily show on the planet by far, not even close. One of our listeners, John Cowan, had a 7-0 day yesterday, attributes it to the information that he gets on WagerTalk Today. So, John, firstly, way to go, man. I'm so thrilled to hear that. As for your free picks, well, before we get into that, real quick, I am absolutely freaking rolling. I'm on a 12-1 totals run. I have 4 plays tonight. I have a college bowl game, I have an NFL game, and I have 2 hoops games. And inside of there are 2 total plays. I've won 5 in my last 6 days of betting. You can get all 4 of my plays. They're all combined. Head over to my personal page at wagertalk.com. I got 3 free picks for you guys. The first is in the UCF game. I like over the total of 55.5. As for NBA, I like the Lakers tonight, -1.5. And one of our listeners asked, when do you take a money line bet? Where do you draw the line? I normally draw the line around -140, 145. But I will tell you, in any hoops game that is under the number 2, I almost always bet the money line, and I will be in the Lakers game tonight. I like the Dallas Mavericks over the total. That line has dropped 6 points based on the opening line. There's a lot of value now for us to bet it over. Guys, what an awesome show. Teddy, we are done. I am having a sub with Carmine Bianco, who is waiting upstairs for me right this minute. We'll see you tomorrow, brother. Take us home.
Yeah, we'll be here for Christmas Eve show, and we'll be here for New Year's Eve show, 5 shows a week, every weekday right here on WagerTalk Today. If you enjoyed the show today, please give us a like, give us a follow. This close from 90,000 followers on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Like Prez said, we'll do it again tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and good luck.
When WagerTalk acquired the iconic Gold Sheet, the goal was to turn it into a modern, user-friendly product providing high-quality content and data. We're well on our way to achieving just that, and we want to show you how far it's come. From Friday, December 24th through Sunday, January 2nd, enjoy free access to the Gold Sheet. Just head to goldsheet.com and sign in using username free@goldsheet.com and use password free to get access to our NFL, college football, NBA, and college basketball content for the entire week. No credit card, email, or registration is required. Check it out. And if you enjoyed the new and improved Gold Sheet like we know you will, lock in savings now and grab our 2022 football Gold Sheet for just $99. That's right, until January 1st, 2022, we're taking $100 off the regular price of $199. From all of us here at WagerTalk Sports Memo and the Gold Sheet, we wish you a wonderful holiday season and a prosperous new year.